Welcome back to Create Craft Costume. I am Cheryl. This is Ashley, the brainchild for this one.
Just this project. She's the brainchild behind most of them.
So not true. But at any rate, we have the most amazing next advent calendar for you. It is all about Harry Potter. Now, full disclosure, she's the Harry Potter queen. She knows all about it. I barely knew who he was when we got started.
But
I've
she
now
has
embraced
embraced
that.
it.
I am now in. I got it. I understand it all.
She can list all 4 houses, guys. This is a big deal.
It's a big deal. So at any rate, here's all her advent calendar for this one. Again, mind blowing. Please watch it. You will be absolutely amazed. Take it away, Ashley.
So as she mentioned, if you are just seeing this, you are most likely coming from the Cooking and Craft Chicks channel. And I really appreciate this collaboration with her. If you are new, my name's Ashley. This is Cheryl. Please make sure to subscribe down below. And if you have not heard of the Cooking and Crafting Chick, please change that. She is the YouTuber who really got me interested in trying this whole YouTube crafting situation out. And she specializes in making replica screen accurate Harry Potter potions or her own Harry Potter potions that look like they could come out of the movie anyway. So please make sure to check out her channel down below. Plus, she did a video specifically for my project. So make sure to check out what she made for this collaboration. Just a couple details before we get started. Just like with the last one, this one also got away from me. So if you want to make an advent calendar, I would recommend starting as soon as you can.
Because you have to give it away the 1st of December, right?
Start this next advent calendar, instead of using the boxes from Michael's, I am using the boxes from the Crafter's Square section at the Dollar Tree. And there are several differences that I want to point out already. First is that none of these boxes come with one of those handles already attached. Now, some of the Michael's boxes comes with cutouts like these, but none of the Dollar Tree ones come with a handle like from the previous advent calendar that I made, and I will link that above. If you've seen any of these cubes used in DIYs, these are not created equal. We know that some of these have a lot harder time matching up than others. So yes, these are available to buy in bulk on the website, but I was actually just super picky and I waited until they got several shipments in stores and tried to pick the best ones. Now, obviously of what I noticed, the best ones either tended to be the flower or the butterfly cutout. Just my personal observation. Now we are ready to get started. You can of course do this in any arrangement, but I decided to make a 5x5 box structure, not only to decorate it with the house colors and stickers, but also because it makes it easy to decorate the top. So all I'm doing here is I am moving and rearranging the boxes to make them as pleasing to the eye as possible. If there is a box that is really big or that looks weird, I will switch it out and try and make the best pattern before I glue anything. Since this box is clearly a little bit bigger, I'm actually going to want this on an outside piece because it will be easier to hide that way. This box over here is also slightly bigger, so I like this being on an outside piece as well. So now I am actually going to take out these drawers, but I don't want to lose track of what drawer goes to what box. So now, before I start gluing anything, I am actually going to mark. This is going to be my top. This is going to be my bottom. I'm going to lightly label the boxes. This will help me keep track of what drawer I am placing where. Now, I also have to mark it on the base. This one, I'm going to put an arrow up because that means this was my top. This one, I'm also going to put an arrow up. But now that I can keep track of where the drawers go, I can pull these drawers out and I can start gluing and clamping these boxes together. So I'm just coming in with some wood glue. Mine came from the Dollar Tree, but you can of course use Gorilla Glue. And I'm going to start gluing these together. I am more concerned about it being flush in the front than I am the back. So this little back lip, I'm going to ignore it. However, this is another reason why I really recommend clamps. I don't want this shifting. I don't want this falling back. So I'm going to clamp these together while they dry. Now, the thing about wood glue is, yes, this is what's going to give it its strength. It is what should be used on wood to wood, but it is not instantaneous. So that's why I like the clamps, is because it will dry, but you need to have something in place so that it doesn't move or shift or do anything that you don't want to. And I'm gonna focus on doing all of these rows sideways first, and then I'm gonna come back and we will clamp them together and clamp them at the sides. I will be clamping during every portion of this gluing process. Despite my best effort, I do have some particularly noticeable gaps right here. There is some on the side that I will patch up here too. In order to patch this up, I'm going to take some of this lightweight spackling, and I am just going to come in and fill in the gaps as I feel is needed. I also determined how I am going to make sure that I know this is up and this way is down. And that is by not finishing the bottom. So the bottom is still going to have cracks and crevices, but the top is filled with spackle at the moment. So now I will know by looking at which side has been completed. Here are a couple notes about sanding. I'm just taking a Dollar Tree sanding block and I'm going over every inch of this piece, particularly where I had the spackle, because if it's bumpy on the spackle, it will be bumpy on your paint. So make sure that you get it to the level that you want. These boxes are also not nearly as uniform as the one I used in the previous advent calendar. Hint, hint. Please watch that if you haven't. But because of that, you are also going to need to spend way more time sanding the edges of the drawers and the sides. It will really make a difference in your project when you're finished if you take the time to sand now. My final tip here is making sure that you have done all of the spackling you want before you get to painting. You will see later that I changed my mind and I did come back and actually spackle the back. But you're also going to want to make sure that you get that spackle off. Make sure you're getting it out of the corners so that the drawers can go back in. And if it is bumpy on the spackle, it will be bumpy on your paint. So just make sure that you are sanding it to your liking before you apply any color. Once you have sanded to your heart's content, which of course took me longer than I anticipated, it's really important to get the debris off. The paint will not adhere as well if it is dirty, so you'll see me flip it over, I take wipes to it. Just make sure that your piece is wiped down and dry before you begin applying the paint. Once your piece is officially dry, it's time for some spray painting tips. These triangular risers are obviously not required, but it helps elevate your piece so that the paint can go through every edge. Plus, with these plastic cloths, sometimes it sticks to the project, and these help prevent that. So I am just taking this Rust-Oleum Slate Gray spray paint that I found on clearance, and I'm going to cover the base in a couple coats. Now, of course, you can hand paint this. I just prefer spray painting because it saves me so much time, and it was faster than staining the previous one was. However, I learned a very important tip. I have never spray painted boxes this close before, so I would highly recommend wearing a vinyl glove because the overspray will turn your hand as gray as the slate that it says it is. So just make sure that you are prepared to be covered when you are using spray paint on these boxes. One thing to note about the drawers is you want to make sure that you are turning the drawers face down. Just like with the previous advent calendar where we didn't stain the front, we are not spray painting the front of these either. The reason for that is because we are turning them around and I still want to keep track of the drawer number. That will help make sure that I can keep everything in order. Now, Since we are already in a spray painting mood, I'm going to make sure the rest of the elements are also ready for when I'm gluing. And I really wanted this particular box to have a 3D number. I didn't just want to put a sticker on there. And I was really lucky to find these clock numbers. They're actually in the crafting aisle at Walmart. And I determined that I needed a pack of 4. And I'm going to come in, and to make it match the hardware that I chose, I'm going to use this Bristolium flat burnished amber. Once I brought the boxes back inside to measure for paper, I did find that 2 of the boxes would not fit back where they were supposed to. They would fit frontwise, but not backwards. So in order to save this, I am going to take 2 craft sticks and glue them on the inside. And then just like with the Michaels Advent Calendar, I will fill these holes with spackle to make a completely flat surface to place your paper and your handles on. Here you can see me accomplishing this with 2 craft sticks and cutting them down to size. Once the spackle has dried, I just went around the edges with a little bit of gray paint to make sure that no white goes through. And now here's where the problem-solving part of crafting comes in. Do you remember all that time I took to label the boxes so that I can put them back in order? Yeah, turns out that they do not fit reverse. They fit fine in the front, but there were 2 boxes that I could not get to fit reverse-wise. So before you plan any paper, make sure that you actually turn your boxes around and they fit the direction that you want them to before you make any paper cutting or gluing mistakes. Luckily, I had not cut out any paper before figuring this out. Speaking of paper, it's time to decorate. Guys, I have so many tips when it comes to this part because this was not as easy as pulling out a single pad of paper and coordinating it like I did with the first advent calendar. This one, I had a particular theme in mind. So while you're going to see me cut and glue and lay this out in like a minute, this honestly was one of the most time-consuming processes for me because one of my biggest tips is I would not glue or adhere anything before you are 100% certain about your design. I had a theme. I'm making this for my best friend Gina, and she is a Harry Potter loving adult just like me. So I wanted it to have an under theme of Harry Potter and Christmas. They don't make a paper pack for that. So I had to combine a couple different resources. Yes, I did use several Harry Potter paper packs, but I also just used generic red, blue, green, and yellow colored paper. I also used generic Christmas paper. Another resource that I used was I did use pages of books. So I cut this out into the shape that I wanted. Before anyone comes at me, trust me, I am also one of those people who does not like damaging books. However, just because I don't like damaging books doesn't mean that my students feel the same way. In fact, this student decided that he was going to pick out a scab and bled in the book. This is actually considered a biohazard, and I can no longer have this in my class. So I thought using it for Harry Potter projects would be the best and most honorable way to retire these. So if you have time, I would actually recommend putting your design together and just letting it sit for like a day or 2 and then coming back and rearranging it. That's how I ended up pulling this design off. I would let it sit, changed what I wanted, and then added or took away paper based on that. But seriously, if you have a particular theme that does not involve a paper pack, just take your time with it. Enjoy the process. Also, you'll see that some of these are blank. That's because I'm actually adding additional 3D elements. So this is what I mean by you want to have your entire design planned before you ever glue anything down. Once the paper's dry, I will come back with all of the 3D embellishments. Now, of course, it's starting to come together, but the Gryffindor in me wants some extra embellishments. And I really enjoy supporting other small businesses and small artisans. So I found these 3D crests on Etsy, and they're made out of polymer clay and painted. And while stickers are an option, in fact, there's a wonderful enamel set from Joann's that is really, really pretty. I just wanted that 3D embellishment. So I decided to go with these. I will link both the shop and the stickers down in the description box below. And I am just going to take some E6000. And the reason that there is a little spot on the back that looks like an indent is because these were actually listed as magnets. And I thought that the magnet was like flat with the back, and turns out it was not. So I had to take the magnet off myself, and that took a little bit of the polymer clay with it, but no harm, no foul. These haven't cracked, and I'm really, really impressed with the quality and paint of these. And in fact, one of the main reasons that I decided to go with these crests instead of the stickers is because these are actually the book colors. All of the other Harry Potter items in my friend's house has the book Ravenclaw colors. So it would have driven my OCD crazy if all of a sudden she had silver Ravenclaw colors on her advent calendar. I just didn't like that idea. And luckily this seller was obviously on my side because she made her magnets with the bronze coloring. Now, you may be asking, why am I adding these embellishments first? There is a reason for that. I'm actually going to add all of the 3D embellishments. So everything on the drawers will be completed except adding the handles. And that's just to help protect all of the 3D elements. But that means I had to lay out my numbers, and I just clipped them with this. And then as you can see, if you use the number packs that I did, you'll have like a little stub on the end of it that comes off really easily with wire clippers. And that way it just gives it a cleaner finish. That's what I've gone through and done on all of the numbers here. And now in order to apply them, I took a little bit of Mod Podge, and I am just going to use some tweezers, some craft tweezers, and I'm going to dip it in the Mod Podge and then place it where I want it to go on my drawer. And this is what I decided on for all of the 3D embellishments. So now that all of the elements are on, I'm going to take this outside and going to spray it with a semi-gloss finish before I put the handles on. While the drawers are waiting to dry, I would like to talk about some of the embellishments I use since I get them from so many different places. So one of the first packs that I want to mention is a pack of mini stickers, and it does actually come with 2 sheets. Additional 3D elements that I used were all purchased from different places. So for example, these Hogwarts letters and the pre-made wax seals, these were actually purchased from different Etsy shops. And unfortunately, this shop I looked is no longer on Etsy. So I'm not sure if she's selling these other places, but I had purchased these previously and put 2 of these on the drawers. I picked up this while it was on sale specifically because of the Harry Potter glasses. And the additional elements are little 3D half pearls that come in various colors. Now, all of these items have been purchased previously because when you're a Harry Potter crafter, I recommend just keeping your eye out for things that could always be involved in crafts. So I have a little craft stash of some specific Harry Potter items, some non-specific Harry Potter items that I can just come to. This does not mean that you cannot make this using Dollar Tree products, however. The mini sticker sheet is very affordable, and the Dollar Tree sells little jewels and different ones like this all throughout the year. With a coat of spray paint or chalk paint, you can change these to any color you want. I just had the different colors on hand, so I decided to use these instead. I'm actually going to do something different for day 25 since that is outside of your typical advent calendar anyway. But make sure you get at least 4 of these if you want to have 24 days. As the drawers are drying, I decided that I was going to improve the base with more paint. Now, you may be thinking, but we already painted it. And you're absolutely right. but I really love dimension. I love different colors, and I'm thinking of this spray paint as more of the base coat to help the rest of the paint stand out. Plus, I decided that I was going to add spackling to the back to help improve the look of making it look like brick. I want them to look and feel like they're looking at a castle. To do this, I'm going to take 4 different colors of gray paint and I'm going to blend them at the exact same time. I didn't really have a plan, I just knew how I wanted it to look in my head. So this is a lot of playing and trial and error. The bonus is it's also paint, so if you mess up, let it dry and try again. At first, you'll see that I started painting the entire surface and I didn't like how that looked. So then I went back and concentrated just on painting the individual boxes and bricks. To finish, I highlighted and darkened some areas, and really this is, again, do it until you like it, or just leave the spray paint. That's entirely up to you. For anyone who's wondering, this is what it looks like when you just do this same technique, but it's on raw wood. So it hasn't been primed or it hasn't been painted on previously. So as you can see, it's really easy to see through this paint. So it just doesn't look as nice and clean as having it base painted first. Now, something that I hope you notice is that this is actually a different calendar. It is a smaller calendar, in fact. And this one has importance at the end of the video. So please make sure to stick around to find out what I'm going to do with this calendar. Our drawers are finally ready for the oh so important handles. I picked up these metal ones from eBay, and one of the things that I particularly like about these is that they do have a screw that can go into them. Since some of the Dollar Tree drawers fit so tight, I would be a little concerned about pulling the paper off or pulling one of the handles off. So I love that I can mark and screw these onto the individual drawers to provide more structure. Once the handles are on, our base is complete and all we have left is the top. This Hogwarts cutout is a custom wood cutout from an Etsy shop that I have used previously. I will be sure to link him down below. I will be spray painting this. I also need to spray paint the larger numbers that I picked up for my day 25. So I will be picking those 2 up. And then the last step is we are going to paint some snowmen. I'm going to be spray painting this wooden cutout in this really pretty Arctic gray. And once it has been spray painted, guys, is this not the most beautiful color you've ever seen? I will definitely be using it again. However, my love of dimensions still won out, so I did add some highlights. And here you can see me showing it with the highlights and without, so that you can get an idea of what you would like to use on your own. And my friend Gina has a particular fondness for snowmen. Luckily, I didn't have to build these, but I am going to paint them. So we will paint and embellish and add these to the top. Of course, we're going to do this in house colors. You will also see on the final product that I did have a Merry Christmas wood cutout. I just somehow lost the footage, but all I did was spray paint that and adhere it to the Hogwarts as well. And speaking of adhering items, let's talk about one more addition that I made to my calendar. This is a large piece, and so I was really worried about adhering the Hogwarts castle straight onto the box because I have a feeling that it will get jostled and bumped and moved, and if it gets ripped off, what's the point of gluing it on in the first place, especially when you have tiny magnets. So instead of just adhering all of my embellishments directly on, anything that was on top, I added magnets to the bottom of. So here you can see me applying Jenga blocks to the back of the Hogwarts castle to give it more surface. And then I used tiny magnets that I just purchased off Amazon, and I E6000 them on to all of my embellishments. This will make storage easier, and hopefully it will allow for more protection of the piece. Now, with all that being said, it's finally time for the big reveal.
So, was I right? Isn't that amazing? Pretty amazing, huh? Yeah, it was. I agree.
Well, this is for my best friend, and I hope she feels the same way because I'm pretty excited about being able to see it at her house every year. That is my 25-day Harry Potter Advent calendar. Please remember that you can adapt this any way you want. In fact, that's why I made 2 Advent calendars this year, is because I have so many ideas on what you could do to change it. So please, if you make one, please make sure to tag us. I would really love to see what you do and how you change it up, because really the possibilities are endless. And if you were paying attention throughout the video, you saw sneak peeks of this. So as I've mentioned, this is a collaboration video, and something that I wanted to do was to give away an Advent calendar. If you were paying attention to the video, you saw sneak peeks of this smaller 12-day Advent calendar because 25 was way too much to ship. I haven't been shipping either of the previous 2 that I made. However, this is not only our first collaboration video, this is going to be our first giveaway. This is a 12-day Harry Potter Advent calendar that I want to give away to one lucky viewer. So if you are interested in winning this Advent calendar, I want to very clearly explain the giveaway rules. First of all, you must be subscribed to both YouTube channels. So please make sure to subscribe to Cooking and Craft Chick as well as Create Craft Costume. Yes, make sure you have 6 C's in all of your subscriptions. The other thing is, I'm so sorry, it is only open to the United States because I can't afford to ship anywhere else, but hopefully one day I can change that. And also make sure to go over to the Cooking and Craft Chicks channel because she has made a project specifically for this. Now, one last entry. Yes, you have to be subscribed to both channels, but you also, step number 2, please make sure that you answer in the comments down below, what item would you like to see in an Advent calendar? It doesn't just have to be Harry Potter related. It can be, particularly if you're filling up this one. But what items would you want it to see in your Advent calendar? Are you okay with candy? Do you like something cooler?
You're talking about in the little boxes.
Yes.
I didn't get that. Okay, in the little boxes. I thought she meant as an overall design. So she's talking about in the little boxes. Makes sense to me. I was very confused for a minute.
However, if you have a cool idea for a design, I would love to hear that too. But since I now have 50 boxes that I'm going to have to fill up for several years, I love ideas on what I can put inside these because that will help me for next Christmas. Yes, I'm self-serving. I'm sorry. But you get this in return, okay? Once you've done that, you subscribe to both channels. You've answered the question in the comments down below. The contest will end in 2 weeks, and I will message the commenter, meaning I will say you are the winner, and you're going to have to reach out through email. So please, please, please make sure that you are paying attention to the comments, because if you don't respond within 1 week of winning, I'm going to have to move on to a different winner. This will also be chosen by a random YouTube comment generator, which means I have no power in this. I'm just taking the comments that you made and putting it into a randomized picker. Now, please make sure you're within the continental United States. You have to also be 13 or get your parents to enter. And I'm excited to see where this ends up.
Watch, enter, and win. There you go. That easy.
And we will see you in our next video.
Take care.